Rain taps softly against your bedroom window. The sky is a quiet shade of gray, and everything feels slightly heavier than usual. Your arms, your eyelids, even time itself. The world outside is a watercolor wash, blurred with mist. It's one of those days when nothing quite feels real, and you're happy to let the hours slip by without a fuss. You lie on your bed, chin resting in your hands, watching the raindrops trace lines down the glass. School was a blur today. Math problems, cafeteria noise, a quiz you forgot to study for. None of it seems to matter anymore. You have that feeling again, that impossible to explain sense that something is just waiting, something other, and then it happens. There's a faint scratching, not quite at the window, not quite at the door. It's like the sound is trying to decide where it belongs. You sit up blinking, wondering if it's the wind or your imagination playing games again. But no, the sound returns more insistent this time, like claws against wood. You step carefully across the room, heart thudding with a mix of fear and curiosity. When you open the window, the wind rushes in damp, cool smelling of rain-soaked earth and faraway forests. Perched awkwardly on the windowsill is an owl, a real one. Its feathers are mottled brown and cream, and its eyes, amber and intelligent, lock onto yours with uncanny awareness. Tied to its leg is a letter, an actual physical envelope. Cream-colored parchment sealed with deep crimson wax. Your name is written on the front in spidery green ink, perfectly centered. It reads, Mr. Miss Andy. The small bedroom. Second floor. You stare at it, then at the owl, then back at the letter. Is this a prank? You whisper aloud. But your fingers are already reaching out. The owl hops inside without permission and settles on your desk with a look that says, You're welcome. You break the wax seal, hands trembling slightly. Inside is a single page. Heavy parchment. The ink glistens faintly as if it had been written just moments ago. Dear Andy, we are pleased to inform you that you have been accepted at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Please find enclosed a list of all necessary books and equipment. Term begins on September 1st. We await your owl no later than July 31st. Yours sincerely, Minerva McGonagall, Deputy Headmistress. The words blur as you reread them once, twice, 3 times. Witchcraft and Wizardry, Hogwarts. Your heart stutters. Something ancient and electric stirs beneath your skin, a hum in your blood you've never felt before. Suddenly, the room feels too small, too normal. You glance up. The owl is still watching you, patient, knowing. Is this real? You ask quietly, afraid to speak too loudly and break the spell. The owl blinks, slowly, like it's waiting for you to catch up. You find a second parchment tucked behind the first, a list of supplies, 1 wand, 1 standard size, 2 pewter cauldron, a set of glass or crystal phials, a telescope, a set of brass scales, uniforms, plain work robes, hat gloves, course books including A Beginner's Guide to Transfiguration, Magical Theory, and the Standard Book of Spells. And at the very bottom, students may also bring an owl, a cat, or a toad. Your fingers tremble again, this time with joy. You've always known, somehow known, that you didn't quite belong in the world of lockers and bell schedules and ordinary. There's always been something just out of reach, something wild and wonderful and strange. And now it's real. A question forms in your mind, rising slowly like mist. Why me? But that thought is quickly chased away by another. Where do I go? Before you can say it aloud, the owl tilts its head and drops something else onto your desk. A small folded slip of paper. You unfold it. A single sentence is written there. Diagon Alley. Tomorrow at dawn. Someone will meet you by the leaky cauldron. No signature. No instructions. You swallow. You glance at the clock. Midnight is just a few hours away. There's no way you'll be able to sleep. Not after this. The owl gives a soft hoot, hops onto the window ledge, and with one final blink, takes off into the misty sky. You close the window, but don't turn away. Instead, you stand there for a long time, watching the rain fade into fog, the world outside melting into something quiet and impossible. Tomorrow, everything will change. You press the letter to your chest, and for the first time in your life, you feel like a story is beginning with you as its hero. A dream? Maybe. But if it is, you never want to wake up. The world is still blurry with sleep when you slip out of the house. The city is different at dawn, quieter, softer. Street lamps blink reluctantly against the mist as you step off the curb, clutching the letter and the folded note like a compass. The sky above is the color of old parchment, with streaks of gold trying to wake it up. Somewhere nearby, a bird sings half of a tune and then forgets the rest. You follow the directions exactly, even though they're hardly directions at all. The leaky cauldron, the note said. No street number, no map, just a name. Your feet lead you through unfamiliar alleys and across sleepy intersections. Everything seems slightly off, like reality is humming underneath itself. Windows are fogged from the inside. A cat on a windowsill watches you with narrowed eyes and then disappears, not leaping down, not turning away, just gone. Then just when you think you must have taken a wrong turn, you see it. The leaky cauldron. It's a narrow pub squeezed between a bookstore and a shop selling umbrellas. You would have missed it if not for the flickering lantern above the door. The sign sways gently in the breeze, carved with the shape of an old pot, steaming with something too magical to name. You push open the heavy wooden door, and the world breathes differently. The air inside is warm, thick with the scent of smoke and cinnamon. and something else like old spellbooks and burned toast. A few early risers are seated at scattered tables, a witch in velvet robes, sipping something luminous, a man with goggles and soot on his face poking at a plate of eggs that keep rearranging themselves. No one looks up. No one asks why a young stranger just walked in holding a parchment letter. At the far end of the room, behind the bar, a tall woman with silver-streaked hair meets your eyes. She nods once and gestures you closer. First-timer, she asks, her voice low and gentle, like the beginning of a lullaby. You nod. She taps her wand on a brick near the fireplace. Follow me, love. You step out into a small enclosed courtyard behind the pub. It looks like a dead end, just soot-streaked bricks and moss in the corners. But she points at the wall in front of you. 3 up, 2 across. Her wand touches a single brick, and the world stirs. With a grinding sigh, the bricks begin to shift one by one, pulling back and folding in on themselves like puzzle pieces. An archway appears, glowing faintly. Beyond it, sunlight spills onto cobbled streets, and the air hums with motion. You step forward, and it hits you all at once. Diagon Alley. It's alive, bustling, bizarre in the most wonderful way. Wizards bustle past with floating shopping bags. A child chases a rogue quill that scribbles insults on the ground as it flees. There's a shop with self-stirring cauldrons. Another with enchanted snow globes showing stormy castles. Owls hoot overhead, roosting on the windows of a building that smells like old parchment and secrets. You don't know where to start. But somehow, you know you're meant to be here. The silver-haired woman smiles. You'll need to get your money at Gringotts first, she says, pointing to the white marble bank at the far end of the alley. And then, well, the rest will find you. She disappears back through the brick wall before you can ask her name. You walk slowly in awe, trying not to trip over your own amazement. Diagon Alley is a labyrinth of color and sound. Wands sparkle in shop windows. A wizard hawks pocket-sized dragons from under his cloak. A tower of cauldrons topples and reassembles itself, muttering curses in 7 different languages. And then you see it. Ollivander's, the wand shop, leans crookedly against its neighbors. The wood of the sign faded and proud. The windows are fogged, and yet you can see movement inside tiny lights drifting like fireflies. You feel your heart stir. This is where your story truly begins. But not yet. First, the bank. Gringotts towers over the alley, its snowy facade guarded by goblins with sharp eyes and sharper teeth. Inside, the marble floor glows beneath your feet. A goblin clerk examines your letter and with a grunt leads you down, far down into the vaults. The cart ride is a blur of wind and torchlight and endless turns. You can't help but laugh, even as your stomach lurches. At the vault, a key turns with a click and the door creaks open. Inside is a small pile of gold coins and a parchment note. A modest starter fund. Use it wisely. HM. HM. You have no idea who that is, but your hands tremble slightly as you take a few galleons and slip them into your pocket. It's real. All of this. It's happening. Back on the surface, the alley welcomes you, like it's been waiting. You get your robes fitted at Madame Malkin's. You nearly trip over a free-range toad in the apothecary. You choose a brass telescope that extends with a satisfying click and a crystal file that hums faintly in your palm. Every item, every purchase feels like a thread in some ancient tapestry being woven around you. And finally, you return to Ollivander's. The bell jingles as you step inside. The shop smells of dust, cedar, and stars. A pale, owl-eyed man appears from the shadows. Ah, yes. I wondered when I'd be seeing you, he says softly. He doesn't ask your name. Doesn't need to. He hands you wand after wand, one at a time. None feel quite right. One shoots sparks. Another shatters a glass globe with a sneeze of smoke. But then he hands you a slim box wrapped in deep green velvet. Inside a wand of dark wood, cool and quiet in your palm. The moment your fingers close around it, a warmth floods your chest. A breeze stirs the papers in the room. A quiet chime rings from nowhere. Ollivander smiles, curious, very curious. You want to ask what that means, but the wand in your hand feels like home, like something that has always been yours, waiting for this very moment. You step back outside into the late morning light, wand tucked into your robe, heart soaring. Somewhere behind you, the bricks of the alley begin to shift again, sealing off the world you just left behind. But you don't turn around. You walk forward, wand in hand, and the sky above you opens wide. You never expected the train to feel so magical. Even after everything, Diagon Alley, the wand, the list of spell books in your satchel, this part feels like a dream within the dream. The Hogwarts Express waits for you on platform 934, gleaming with red paint and curling steam. Hidden behind the brick wall at King's Cross, the platform pulses with excitement. Chattering voices and owl feathers caught in the wind. You were told to run straight at the wall, and you did, eyes closed, lungs full of courage, and it let you through. Just like that. The noise of the Muggle world vanished, replaced by the soft rumble of magic. A conductor checks your ticket with a friendly wink. Trunks levitate onto the train with lazy grace. A ginger cat winds around your legs like it's always known you. And soon you're seated by the window in a compartment that smells faintly of toffee and wool and late summer dreams. You press your forehead to the glass and watch the platform begin to slide away. The train lurches, then glides forward. You're really going. This is real. Outside, the city fades into fields. Then the fields melt into forests. Soon, the trees are taller, denser, like they've stood untouched for 100 years. The sun trails behind you, painting the sky in streaks of gold and mauve. You can almost feel the border between one world and the next. The other students chatter and laugh and swap stories. Some already know one another. Some are like you, quiet, wide-eyed, clutching their letters as if they might vanish in a puff of smoke. A witch with a tea trolley offers pumpkin pasties, chocolate frogs, and Bertie Bott's every flavor beans. You try one labeled peach, and it tastes exactly like sunlight. Another says surprise, and it tastes like blue fire and music you've never heard before. As the hours pass, the landscape outside grows wilder. You spot antlers in the woods, a flicker of silver on the surface of a lake. Once you're almost certain you see a shadow soaring across the sky too large for a bird. Maybe a dragon. Maybe something else entirely. The sun sinks lower. Evening arrives like a hush over the hills. And then the train begins to slow. A soft voice calls through the corridor. We're nearly there. Robes on. You fumble into your school cloak, hands shaking slightly. Everyone is moving now, gathering pets, books, excitement. The train groans into its stop, and the doors open with a long sigh of steam. The platform is dark and earthy, and the air smells like pine needles and cold stone. Lanterns flicker in the distance. You step out into the night boots, crunching on gravel. A huge figure stands waiting at the edge of the platform. Fur's ears this way, the voice booms warmly. You look up and up and up into the face of a giant of a man with wild hair and a coat that looks like it's made of bear rugs and kettle straps. He grins when he sees you. Come on now, follow me. We're going by boat. You follow, heart thudding in your ears. The path winds down through the trees, soft and dark and cool. Other students walk beside you, whispering with wonder. The world feels like it's holding its breath, and then you see it. Beyond the bend in the trail, through the gap in the trees, there it is. Hogwarts. Your breath catches. The castle rises above the black lake like something out of an ancient tale. Towers and turrets glisten in the moonlight. Windows glow with golden fire. The reflection on the water makes it look doubled, like the dream is dreaming itself. It's the kind of sight that stops time. You've never seen anything so impossibly beautiful. The boats bob gently at the shore waiting. You climb into one with 3 other students. The giant man gives the signal, and the boats push off without paddles, without ropes, as if guided by will alone. The lake is still as glass cool mist curling at its surface. Every breath you take feels sacred, every moment suspended in some quiet enchantment. The castle looms closer, lit windows, arched bridges, spires that pierce the sky. You spot owls gliding between towers, bats wheeling through a high stained glass window. Somewhere, the faint notes of an unseen piano drift through the air. No one speaks. The silence is full of reverence. When the boats glide beneath a low stone archway and into a cavern beneath the castle lanterns float overhead like captive stars. The water glows faintly. You could almost believe it's not water at all, but some kind of potion, still and deep and full of ancient memories. At the dock, older students help you out. Stone steps lead upward. You climb, heart pounding, following the winding path through the castle's foundations. Cool stone presses under your boots. Torches flicker. Paintings along the walls whisper behind heavy frames. And finally, after what feels like a lifetime, but not nearly long enough, you reach it. A pair of great wooden doors. Your group stops. An older witch in emerald robes stands before you stern, but not unkind. Her eyes sparkle. "Welcome to Hogwarts," she says. "You are about to be sorted." The word lingers in the air like thunder after lightning. She opens the doors, and the great hall reveals itself. Candles float above your head, suspended in midair like stars. 4 long tables stretch into the distance, crowded with students in black robes, eyes watching curiously. The ceiling above looks exactly like the sky outside, deep indigo with a scattering of stars. It takes your breath away. You walk forward, knees trembling, trying not to trip, trying not to stare too much. But everything is worthy of wonder. At the front of the hall sits a battered old hat on a stool. It doesn't look magical until it sings. A tune rises from its folds, words bursting with strange rhymes and odd little jokes about bravery, loyalty, cunning, and wisdom. It ends with a flourish and a flap, and the hall erupts in applause. Then the sorting begins. Names are called one by one. When yours is spoken, it echoes through the hall. A hush falls. You walk to the stool and sit. The sorting hat is placed on your head, and the world fades to quiet. Ah, a voice murmurs in your ear. Interesting. Very interesting. You don't know whether to be terrified or thrilled, but the hat seems to know you. It sees something deep, strange, true, and then it shouts your house. The room erupts in cheers. You rise. The hat is lifted. You stumble to your new house's table, cheeks warm, face bright. You are home. You are finally truly home. You didn't think the hat would talk. It's old, yes. Ragged around the brim and slouched like it spent 100 years listening to secrets. But it looked so harmless, sitting there on that little stool in front of the whole school. Now it's on your head, and it's speaking directly into your thoughts. Well, now it says, voice rich and dry like old parchment, curling near a fire. What do we have here? You freeze. Not outwardly, your body stays still, spine straight, legs dangling over the side of the stool. But inside, your thoughts stumble all over themselves. Curious, the sorting hat murmurs again. Very curious indeed. A quiet mind, but deep. Deeper than most. Not easily distracted. You see more than you let on. It pauses, as if waiting for you to say something. But what can you say? It's inside your head. No need to be shy, it chuckles. I've heard it all. Screaming, begging, bargaining, though I must say you're unusually calm. You swallow. Maybe too calm. The whole hall is watching, and yet it feels like you're floating somewhere far away, suspended in velvet stillness. Let's see. Loyalty, yes. A strong heart, but not just kindness. You have boundaries. That's good. Intelligence too, though you don't flaunt it. You like puzzles more than praise. And ambition. There's a long silence. You're not quite what you seem. It says, almost fondly, there's something hidden in you. Not darkness, no nothing as dramatic as that. But potential, untapped, unfolding. You begin to feel it too under the surface. Not in your chest or your hands, but somewhere behind your ribs maybe. Like a door creaking open, just a sliver. Now then, the hat goes on, I could put you in Hufflepuff. You'd be valued there. Friends who stay through the storms. Or Ravenclaw, you'd do well among thinkers and quiet fires. Then again, Slytherin might sharpen you, teach you to use what's already blooming inside. But there's courage here too raw and strange and a bit reckless. Another pause. A breath you can't take. You want to do good, it says softly. Not to be seen as good, but to be it. There's a difference. You know that. It feels like the whole world narrows down to the brim of the hat, pressing against your forehead. Then, in a tone that almost feels like a sigh, well, I suppose it better be. And then it shouts the name of your house. The entire hall bursts into cheers. Hands clap. Someone whistles. You barely hear it through the ringing in your ears. The hat is lifted from your head, and light rushes back in. You stand up, legs shaky, and walk toward your house's table. Strangers grin and make space for you. Someone pats your back. A goblet is placed in your hand. You're still trying to process everything. The hat, the whispers, the truths you hadn't even told yourself. But something in you feels steadier now. The sorting continues. More names, more applause. But the buzzing in your ears fades into a soft hum. And for the first time, you let yourself breathe. The meal begins with a sudden pop. The empty golden plates in front of you fill with food. Roast chicken mountains of mashed potatoes, shining jugs of pumpkin juice. Dishes you've never tasted before. Spices that tingle on your tongue. You eat because it seems expected, because the flavors are too rich to resist. But your mind is still with the sorting hat. It knew things. It saw you. A voice beside you cuts through your thoughts. First year a student asks kindly, sliding a bowl of steamed vegetables toward you. You nod. I think so. They laugh. You'll feel like a real one soon enough. Don't worry. None of us knew what was happening either. The hat told me I had unfulfilled mischief. I'm still trying to figure out what that means. You smile, grateful for the levity. The candles above drift lazily in midair. their flames calm and golden. The enchanted ceiling reflects the night sky, a scattering of stars. So perfectly still, it feels sacred. You glance upward and think, this place is stitched with magic, not just spells or charms, but something deeper, woven into the stones, into the very air. When dessert appears, treacle tart, chocolate gatto, strange little cakes that giggle when poked. You take a bite without thinking. The moment the sugar hits your tongue, warmth floods your limbs. Sleep tugs at your eyes like a gentle hand. The headmaster stands, a tall figure with half-moon glasses and robes that shimmer like ink in moonlight. His voice carries through the great hall with surprising ease. Welcome, students, new and returning. Hogwarts is not just a school, it is a sanctuary, a place of learning, and a place of growing. You will be challenged, you will be tested, but you will also find your truest self if you are brave enough to look. He smiles. Now off you go. Let the castle show you where you belong. And with that, the tables begin to rise. Prefects guide the first years into lines. You follow your house group through vast corridors and shifting staircases. Paintings wave at you. One knight challenges another to a duel and gets his helmet knocked off. A hallway vanishes behind you. The moment you step out of it, everything is alive. Eventually, you reach a portrait guarding a door. The student beside you says a password. The portrait swings open, revealing your common room. It's unlike anything you've seen. Soft light, crackling fire, armchairs that shift slightly to fit your shape. It smells faintly of parchment and polished wood. Your dormitory is just upstairs, 4 poster beds with thick curtains and warm blankets already turned down. As you sit on the edge of yours, a folded parchment appears on your pillow. Your class schedule, charms, transfiguration, potions, herbology. But all you can think about is the voice in the sorting hat, the way it saw through you, the way it chose you. You lie back, eyes half closed, listening to the quiet breathing of your new roommates. Somewhere, a clock chimes 12. You trace the ceiling with your gaze, wondering if tomorrow the castle will feel just as strange and just as kind. You came here expecting magic. You didn't know the magic would be you. Your bed creaks gently. As you roll onto your side, the thick curtains drawn halfway shut around you, like the wings of a stage about to open. You can still hear the occasional murmur of your roommates, soft, sleepy voices wrapped in the haze of first night awe. Someone's humming a lullaby that sounds like it's from the countryside. Another is snoring, already dreaming of something entirely impossible. You lie still, eyes wide open, staring at the top of the canopy. The bed feels like a boat drifting across a velvet sea. The mattress sways ever so slightly, not uncomfortably, but like it's floating, cradling you in rhythm with the castle's heartbeat. There's something about the way this dormitory breathes. The air smells faintly of lavender and ink, as if someone cast a charm long ago to calm anxious minds. You breathe it in deeply, and with each breath, the tension in your shoulders slips away. But there are other things too, little things, strange things. The first oddity you notice is the mirror in the corner. It's tall, thin, and shaped like a keyhole. The frame is carved with curling vines and tiny runes you can't yet read. You saw it when you first walked in, just before claiming the bed closest to the window. The mirror seemed ordinary then, but now, in the hush of midnight, it moves, not your reflection. No, that stays exactly where it should be, but something behind you. When you glance toward it now, you see faint figures in the glass shadows, not quite shaped like people standing behind your sleeping roommates. They don't move. They just exist, like memories with nowhere to go. You blink and they vanish. You pull the curtains closed. The room hums softly, like the walls are thinking. And maybe they are. Each bedpost has a different carving. Yours is a fox, sleeping with its tail curled around a lantern. The one across from you has a badger, its eyes gleaming faintly in the dark. When you brush your fingers across the wood, it warms beneath your touch, as if recognizing you. Your trunk at the foot of your bed creaks open just a little on its own. It's not locked. None of them are. In fact, when you checked earlier, there were already things inside you. You hadn't packed an extra quill that writes only in rhymes, a small clock shaped like a moon that ticks backward and forward at the same time, and a note written in handwriting you don't recognize. Trust the castle. It forgets nothing. You don't know what it means, but you tuck the note under your pillow, and somehow that feels like the right thing to do. Outside your window, the sky is deep ink blue. Stars glitter beyond the glass, and for a moment, you're sure they're moving, not twinkling, not shifting with the breeze, but walking slowly across the sky like people in long robes. One of them pauses right above your window and bows. You blink again. Gone. You whisper, "Okay, this is definitely a dream." But something inside you, something calm and ancient, whispers back, "Not quite." The floorboards creak occasionally, but the sound doesn't bother you. It sounds like someone walking in soft slippers. Once you think you hear a distant tap tap like claws on stone. But when you look down, there's nothing on the floor except the shadow of your own bedposts. One of the paintings above your wardrobe snores gently. You didn't even realize it was a portrait until now. The subject is a stern-looking witch in a wide hat, asleep in a velvet chair. Her eyes flutter open briefly, and she gives you a look that says, "Try to sleep, darling. You'll need it." You nod, instinctively polite. She closes her eyes again and disappears from the frame, entirely leaving behind an empty chair and a floating teacup. You lie back, listening. There's something rhythmic in the walls, not like a clock, more like breathing or waves. The castle is alive. You're not frightened. That surprises you. You expected to be homesick, to be overwhelmed, but instead you feel held. You sit up again just briefly and reach for your school bag. The books are all stacked neatly inside, although you don't remember organizing them so well. On top is a slim leather-bound volume. You don't recognize it. It wasn't on the list. The cover is blank, and the pages are empty, except for the first one. It reads in looping black ink. The moments you need most will write themselves when you're ready to see them. You touch the page. It's warm. You set the book beside your bed and turn out the small lantern glowing beside your pillow. The flame doesn't flicker out. It tucks itself into the glass like a sleeping firefly. From the other beds, soft sighs and rustles drift in the dark. Everyone is dreaming their own beginning. You wonder what yours will become. Just as your eyelids begin to fall, you hear something small and soft flutter down onto your blanket. You glance down. A single feather. Not from your pillow, not from an owl. It's silver, glimmering faintly. You don't question it. You tuck it under your pillow beside the note, and finally, you let yourself drift. The castle hums its lullabies slow and steady. You are here. You are safe. And somewhere beneath this room, behind these walls and beyond these stars, your story waits coiled like a spell, ready to speak its first word. Your second morning at Hogwarts begins with the sound of enchanted bells echoing through the castle's stone corridors. They don't clang or screech. They chime like silver spoons tapping the edge of crystal glasses. A gentle reminder that it's time to rise robe up and brave whatever magic the day may bring. You dress by the window, pulling your uniform over sleep-heavy limbs. Outside, the sky is a wash of soft gray early fog, curling across the lawns and hugging the towers. Somewhere below, students in green scarves are already gathered on the Quidditch pitch, chasing something that glints like a falling star. Your stomach flutters. Today is potions. Your schedule sits on the nightstand, curled slightly at the corners, like it has a mood of its own. The words shift when you glance away, but always settle into neat rows when you return. Potions Dungeon Hall 3's Professor Folly. Breakfast in the Great Hall passes in a blur of toast and pumpkin juice. A candle nearly drips on your shoulder, but a third year flicks their wand, and the wax freezes mid-air like a falling teardrop. You're led to the dungeons by a prefect who walks too fast and doesn't notice when the hallway moves slightly to the left. You catch up just in time, dodging a statue of a grumpy gargoyle holding a teacup. Eventually, you reach the door. It's heavy oak, carved with alchemical symbols you can't yet read. When it opens, a draft of cool, damp air greets you, earthy and strange, like rain in a cave. The potions classroom is a long, low room with stone walls and flickering lanterns. Shelves line every side, packed with bottles and jars filled with mysterious things. Curled roots, sleeping beetles, shimmering powder, and several liquids that appear to be arguing with their containers. You sit at a table near the middle between a girl who keeps whispering to her wand and a boy who has already spilled ink on his sleeve. Professor Fawley enters like a shadow poured into a robe. She's tall, pale, with hair the color of wet slate, and a voice so quiet it demands silence. She does not speak at first. She simply surveys the room with eyes that could freeze boiling water. Finally, she says, "In this room, mistakes are not corrected. They are consequences." Someone gulps audibly. Today, she continues sweeping past the rows. You will brew a basic restorative draft. Should be simple if your mind is sharp and your fingers steady. Cauldrons appear with a pop in front of each student. Cast iron, still warm. A list of ingredients floats down gently, landing on your desk in a scroll made of thin silver paper. The words shift slightly, glowing faintly. You unroll it carefully. Crushed moon seed, 4 pinches of powdered valerian, 2 drops of dew from a cobweb pre-collected, sprig of peppermint, and exactly 3 clockwise stirs followed by 1 counterclockwise. You reach for the moon seed's small silverish black seeds that hum faintly in your palm and begin. At first it goes well. Your flame is steady. The steam rises in thin ribbons. The peppermint unfurls like a leaf, waking up. But then something happens. The girl next to you adds valerian too early. You hear a fizz, then a pop, then a smell like burnt sugar and lavender soap. She shrieks, and her cauldron hisses as a puff of pink mist bursts upward and vanishes into the air. Professor Fawley is at her side in seconds, eyes narrowed. "Breathe through your nose," she says calmly. "Not with it." That reaction was hallucinogenic. Another table erupts in green smoke. Someone else shrinks their cauldron by accident. And then it's your turn. You're adding the dew, 2 perfect drops that float like glass pearls when a single drop rolls off the end of the spoon and splashes into the potion before you're ready. The liquid turns a deep orange. It wasn't supposed to. You try to stir 3 clockwise, 1 counter, but on the third turn, your spoon catches something stuck to the bottom of the cauldron and your rhythm breaks. The brew trembles. It glows. You lean back just in time. Boom! The potion explodes in a dramatic puff of violet smoke. Your eyebrows are fine, but your hair now smells like singed cinnamon, and your sleeve is glowing faintly at the cuff. You freeze. Then glance at Professor Fawley. She's already at your table. She peers into your cauldron, what's left of it, and says, "Impressive." "Impressive," you echo, baffled. "It didn't melt through the table," she says, dryly. "You'll need to clean it, of course." "No magic. Use the scrubbing salts and cloth by the sink. You'll remember this better that way." You nod mutely and begin cleaning. As you scrub, the cloth fizzes in your hand, leaving behind a silvery shimmer. You wonder if it's enchanted to erase not just stains, but embarrassment. The boy next to you gives you a thumbs up with fingers, now a soft shade of turquoise. "Good show," he grins. "First lesson, and you've already made fireworks." Despite yourself, you laugh. The rest of the class finishes in a haze of bubbling sneezing and one minor explosion that turns a desk completely upside down without harming the student sitting at it. When the bell chimes, you're allowed to leave, but only after Professor Folly taps your sleeve with her wand, muttering a charm that stops it from glowing. Next time, she says, not unkindly try counting aloud. You thank her. She nods, then turns to help another student who has accidentally glued their quill to their tongue. Back in the corridor, the dungeons are oddly comforting now. Cool, solid, like the underside of a spell. You walk back to your common room, slowly, your bag a little heavier, your robe still smelling faintly of smoke. You expected magic to be beautiful. You didn't know it would also be messy, noisy, unpredictable, and utterly wonderful. When you reach your dormitory, the fox carved into your bedpost is smiling. You smile back. And as you drift off that night, you dream of cauldrons that stir themselves, potions that laugh softly in the dark, and a classroom where mistakes sparkle faintly in the air, proof that you're learning something no one else in your world ever dared to try. You've never lived in a place that whispers as much as Hogwarts. Even when the castle is quiet, late at night, early before breakfast, or in those in-between moments when classes are shifting and staircases are settling, there's always something softly talking. Not loud, not even directed at you. But everywhere you turn, there's a sigh behind the stone or a hush behind a painting. You've begun to listen for it. And now that you're listening, you're starting to understand. It begins after potions class on a sleepy Thursday afternoon. You're walking alone through a narrow corridor near the library, still smelling faintly of ginger root and ink. When you pass a suit of armor that snickers as you go by, you pause, turn, and stare at it. It stands completely still, helmet tilted slightly, visor down, sword at its side. Did you just laugh at me, you ask? There's a long pause, then no, then yes, then a small clank as the helmet shifts slightly, as if trying to avoid your gaze. I wasn't laughing at you. The armor continues in a hoarse metallic whisper. I was laughing because your shoelaces are uneven. Very unlucky. Everyone knows that. You glance down. They are uneven. And how strange that the armor noticed. Thanks, I guess you mutter, bending to fix them. No need to thank me, it replies, straightening proudly. I was enchanted for battlefield awareness. Spotting flaws is my specialty. You walk on quickly after that, but the next surprise comes only minutes later. You're cutting through a shortcut you didn't know existed until a giggling portrait pointed it out. The hallway it leads to is long and curved, the ceiling arched like the inside of a tunnel. Portraits line both sides, floor to ceiling, and every single one of them is talking. Some whisper, some argue, some murmur poetry under their breath. A cluster of monks are playing a silent game of chess across 3 canvases. A young woman in a portrait of an orchard tosses apples between her hands and waves as you pass. First year, she asks, voice light and breezy. You nod. Try not to trust the portrait on the far end. He's a bit of a gossip and terribly dramatic. Only tells half-truths. And only if you bribe him with compliments. Okay, you say, blinking. She smiles and tosses you an apple. You catch it instinctively. It's real. You stare at it stunned. I'll need that back tomorrow, she calls cheerfully. I only have 4. You walk on slightly stunned apple in hand. At the end of the hall is the portrait she warned you about. A man with a powdered wig and dramatic scarlet robes, posing with a quill in one hand and a smirk that could curdle milk. You, he says as soon as you're near. You've got the look of someone who listens. He winks. Sit. I've got news. You glance around as if someone might be watching. Then you sit cross-legged on the floor beneath the frame. I'll tell you something the ghosts won't, he says, voice low and thrilling. Something about the East Tower. What about it? Someone lives there. You wait. That's not exactly surprising. He leans closer, eyes glinting. Someone who shouldn't. Who? But he only shrugs theatrically. You didn't say I was handsome. You're very handsome. Obviously, he sniffs. Come back after supper. I'll consider telling you the rest. If I'm in the mood. And then he disappears. Simply steps out of the frame and vanishes. You sit for a moment, unsure if that just happened. That's when you hear the ghosts. It starts as a cold draft, brushing the back of your neck. Then the air shifts like someone invisible has stepped too close. You turn, and there they are, floating softly down the corridor behind you. They don't see you at first. Or if they do, they don't care. 3 of them, translucent and glowing like moonlight through curtains. A knight with a slightly cracked helm. A lady in a ball gown made entirely of what looks like autumn leaves. And a young boy who floats upside down, arms crossed expression, sulky. Told you the cat saw something, the boy says, his voice echoing faintly. She always sees something, the leaf lady replies. Doesn't mean it matters. She scratched the tapestry, the knight adds, voice deep and grave. That's no ordinary cat. You hold your breath. They pass you by without a second glance, murmuring among themselves. As you round the corner, they drift through a wall and vanish. You reach the end of the hallway and step into an open courtyard flooded with late afternoon sunlight. Everything is warm and golden. Students lounge on benches with books. A group is practicing levitation charms. One girl accidentally lifts her shoes instead of her feather. But the magic isn't just in the lessons. It's in the way the wind tells secrets, in the way shadows slip a little too slowly across the flagstones, in the way the castle talks if you know how to listen. That night after dinner, you return to the portrait with the powdered wig. He's back, of course. I decided you were worthy, he says. But only barely. He leans forward, lowering his voice. The East Tower. You didn't hear it from me, but there's a window that opens where no window should. And some say someone visits it by broomstick, never uses the stairs. Sikung. Who is it? He raises one painted eyebrow. That's not for me to tell. That's for you to find. He disappears again before you can ask more. Back in the common room, you tuck the apple under your pillow, along with your silver feather and mysterious note. The fox on your bedpost seems to watch you with quiet approval. You lie awake a while longer, wondering who the ghost boy was, wondering who visits the East Tower, wondering if the castle whispers even when you're asleep. It does. You hear it. Soft voices in the stones, not haunting, not frightening, just watching, just waiting, and maybe, just maybe, welcoming you. You discover the forbidden wing of the library by accident, or maybe it discovers you. The afternoon had been quiet, a gentle lull between charms and astronomy. Your classmates filtered out into the bright courtyard, laughing in scarves and dragging their textbooks like anchor weights behind them. You, however, turned instead toward the quietest part of the castle, toward the library. Not out of duty exactly, more like curiosity, soft as a whisper tugging at your sleeve. The library at Hogwarts isn't just large, it's endless. Rows of shelves coil and vanish into shadows. Chandeliers float like jellyfish far above, casting puddles of golden light across dust-swept desks. Books twitch on their own sometimes. Some flutter like birds in cages. Others purr when you touch their spines. You like it here. It feels like the castle's memory lives in this place. Like if you sit still long enough, you'll hear its thoughts. You start with a spell book on levitation theory, but your attention drifts. A gentle breeze circles your ankles, though the windows are closed. You glance up. A single book bound in deep violet leather is floating just above the third shelf, on the far left, slowly drifting as if caught in a daydream. It hovers, then slides itself neatly into a gap between two encyclopedias. You follow it. As you reach for it, your hand brushes the corner of the shelf, and the entire section shifts. A soft click, a puff of dust, and the shelf slides backward just a little, revealing a narrow archway behind it. A doorway. You glance around. No one's watching. No librarian. No curious classmates. Just you, the scent of parchment and candle wax, and a door you were never meant to find. You slip through. The corridor beyond is dim-lined in cold gray stone. There's no lantern, no windows. Just the hush of ancient air and the scent of ink that soaked deep into the bones of the castle. And then, after 7 careful steps, you count them without knowing why, you emerge into a round room, a hidden room, a forbidden one. You can feel it. The temperature drops, but not unpleasantly. It feels like stepping into moonlight. At the center of the room is a single circular desk, and beyond that, shelves. Towering shelves filled with tomes bound in metal clasps, locked scrolls and boxes sealed with melted wax. Some of the books are chained in place. Others have warning signs hanging from their spines. One is humming, low, like it's remembering something. You approach carefully. This part of the library wasn't on your tour. None of your professors mentioned it. And yet, it feels like it's meant to be found. Not by everyone, not by just anyone, but by you. Your fingers graze a book with a deep emerald cover and no title. It shudders, then flips open on its own. The pages are blank. But as you watch letters begin to write themselves across the parchment ink rising like breath from a mirror, if you are reading this, the castle has chosen to trust you. Do not waste the silence. It is rarer than you know. Your heart beats faster. You turn the page. There are secrets in this place, tender ones. Forgotten names, half-buried spells, dreams pressed between pages like dried leaves. But some are dangerous. Be wary. What glows is not always gold. What sleeps is not always still. You hear something behind you, just a footstep, just a shift in air. You whirl around, no one, only shadows. But a shelf has changed. Where once there had been grimoires on fireproof charms, there now stands a slim black volume titled simply Undone Spells. You reach for it, and the moment your fingers touch the leather, a whisper brushes the edge of your mind. Not all spells are meant to be completed. You snatch your hand back, startled. The whisper fades, but the book doesn't move. It simply waits. Your gaze shifts to another shelf. This one with odd glowing runes carved into the wood itself. You don't recognize the language, but it pulses in a rhythm that feels like breathing. Beneath it, a drawer. You tug it open slowly. Inside a quill, made of crystal, a tiny bottle of ink that looks like melted shadows, and a folded note. You open the note. The handwriting is jagged, urgent. Memory is the most powerful magic. Be careful what you give away. Be very careful what you take. You return everything exactly as you found it, though the ink bottle seems to hum faintly in protest. You slide the drawer shut, and the runes go still. You don't take anything, but you feel as though something has already been given to you. A sliver of knowledge, a crack in the wall of the ordinary. You turn back toward the corridor, heart pounding. As you step out, the wall behind you seems to close, not harshly, not with force, but like a secret folding itself away until the next time it's needed. You return to the main library. It's as if no time has passed. The same light spills across the tables. The same student is snoring quietly in the third seat by the window. But something has changed. You have changed. Back in your dormitory that evening, you find a new item resting gently on your pillow. A bookmark. It's made of deep violet velvet trimmed with gold thread. You didn't buy it. You didn't bring it. You turn it over. On the back, a phrase stitched in silver thread. For the reader who remembers. You slip it between the pages of your enchanted journal, the one that only writes when you're ready. Tonight it writes something on its own. A single sentence. You've opened the door. Now learn how to walk through it. You lie back, heart full and heavy mind lit with questions that flicker like candle flames. And as sleep finds you, you dream of books that breathe, and libraries that shift, and hallways that open when the castle decides you're ready for the next secret. The morning sun filters softly through your dormitory window, casting long golden fingers across your bed. The world outside seems to stretch and yawn awake, but inside the castle holds its breath, quiet, expectant. You notice a faint fluttering sound near the ceiling. It's barely there at first, like the whisper of wings brushing the air. You sit up and look around. Above you, near the highest corner of the attic dormitory, a small owl perches silently on a wooden beam. Its feathers shimmer in a way that almost seems unreal, a delicate mix of silver and soft amber, like moonlight caught in autumn leaves. The owl tilts its head regarding you with eyes that gleam like stars caught in a midnight sky. It blinks once and then lets out a gentle hoot, soft and rhythmic, as if greeting an old friend. You stretch out your hand tentatively. The owl flutters down and lands softly on your outstretched fingers, claws delicate but sure. Its feathers tickle your skin, cool and warm all at once. In its beak, the owl carries a small rolled parchment tied with a ribbon of deep blue silk. You untie it carefully and unroll the note inside. Written in elegant flowing script are just a few words. When the moon dances with the sea, seek the light that does not fade. The owl hoots again, this time a little louder, and then flies to the window, perching there as if waiting for you to follow. Curious, you rise and approach the window. Outside, the courtyard glimmers with early morning dew, and the sky is a soft canvas of lavender and pale gold. The castle's turrets reach upward, bathed in light, but your gaze is drawn toward the farthest tower, the attic tower. You've heard stories about this place. It's said to be where the oldest spells rest, where memories drift like dust motes caught in golden beams. The owl takes flight again, circling once, twice, then heading toward the tower's spiral staircase, visible from the window. You slip on your shoes, and cloak heart, pounding with a mixture of excitement and nerves, and follow the owl's silent flight through the winding halls of Hogwarts. The air grows cooler as you ascend the narrow steps, your footsteps echoing softly. The castle seems to lean in closer, as if curious about your journey. At the top, a heavy oak door stands before you. The owl lands on the brass handle and tilts its head, waiting. You push the door open. Inside is a circular room bathed in pale moonlight, filtering through stained glass windows, painting the walls in blues and silvers. Shelves curve around the room, filled with dusty scrolls and jars that shimmer faintly. In the center, a single pedestal holds a crystal orb, glowing softly, pulsing with a gentle light. You approach the orb, feeling a warmth radiate from it, despite the cool air. As you reach out, the owl hoots sharply. Suddenly, the orb flares bright, and visions swirl within its depths, shimmering images of past students, hidden spells, and distant places. One image holds your attention longer than the others. A silver feather drifting through the air, finally resting in the palm of a hand much like yours. The words from the owl's note echo in your mind. When the moon dances with the sea, seek the light that does not fade. You understand now this feather, the secret? The path, it's all connected. The owl nudges your hand gently and then flies to the window again, looking out toward the horizon, where the castle meets the dark forest, and beyond that, the distant sea. You smile softly. This is only the beginning. You turn and descend the stairs, the crystal orb's light fading behind you, but its glow lingering in your heart. Back in your dormitory, the silver feather lies on your pillow, warmer than before. You tuck it safely into your pocket. Tomorrow, you decide you will start to follow its mystery. The moon hangs low and full tonight, spilling silver light like liquid across the grounds of Hogwarts. The castle's usual bustle has faded into silence, every stone and turret wrapped in the hush of midnight. But you are wide awake. Your heart beats steadily beneath your cloak as you slip quietly from the common room, careful to avoid the watchful eyes of the prefects. The castle seems to hold its breath with you, shadows lengthening and twisting as you move through corridors that feel more like whispers than walls. Tonight's meeting is not in the safety of classrooms or dormitories. It is in the depths of the forbidden forest, the place where light fears to linger and secrets hide beneath gnarled branches and rustling leaves. The silver feather in your pocket feels heavy with promise. You step out through a side door, the cool night air kissing your skin. The forest looms ahead, dark and immense. But something inside you pulls you forward beyond caution and into curiosity. The path is narrow and tangled, lit only by moonbeams that pierce the canopy like fingers of light. Twigs snap softly underfoot, but no other sounds break the stillness. No hoots of owls, no crackling of dry leaves. Then ahead, a faint glow. Soft, flickering lanterns hang from branches, casting a golden glow that turns the dark woods into a cathedral of shadows and light. You walk toward them. A circle of figures awaits students from different houses, faces familiar and unknown, each carrying their own tokens of mystery. A folded map, a glowing stone, a pendant shaped like a serpent. They smile as you join them. No words are spoken at first. Instead, the group moves deeper into the forest, guided by a shimmering path that only you seem to notice. At the center of a clearing stands a great tree, its trunk wide and ancient roots curling like sleeping giants. Lanterns sway gently from its branches, casting soft light on a small wooden table beneath. On the table, a single book rests, its cover adorned with twisting vines of silver and emerald. One of the students steps forward, a quiet boy with eyes that gleam like obsidian. This, he says, softly, is the Book of Whispers. It holds secrets meant only for those who dare to listen. You reach out and touch the cover. It's cool, almost alive. Opening the book, you see pages filled not with words, but with shimmering patterns that shift and flow like liquid moonlight. A voice, soft as a breeze, seems to rise from the pages. Truth, it whispers, lies not in what is said, but in what is heard. The group listens together, breath held. Suddenly, the trees around you seem to lean in their branches, brushing the stars. You feel the forest breathing alive with magic, older than the castle itself. The boy beside you nods. Tonight we are bound by this place and its secrets. We are the keepers, the listeners, the seekers. He looks at you. You've been chosen. The silver feather in your pocket warms. The night deepens. The forest's shadows dance and flicker, revealing glimpses of creatures you thought were only legends, glowing eyes peering from the underbrush, faint shapes moving like whispers between the trees. You feel a thrill, part fear, part wonder. As the group disperses, you linger for a moment, touching the bark of the ancient tree. Its surface is rough, but hums beneath your fingertips, as if the tree itself remembers every secret whispered beneath its boughs. You turn back toward the castle heart light and full. The forbidden forest no longer feels forbidden. It feels like home. Back in your dormitory, the silver feather shines softly beside your bed, a beacon in the dark. You close your eyes and dream of whispered secrets, shimmering paths, and a magic that listens. The morning air is crisp and cool as you make your way to the edge of the castle grounds, where the trees thin and the land opens up to reveal a hidden gem mirror lake. You've heard stories whispered among older students that the lake holds reflections, not just of faces, but of hearts, memories, and secrets. Today, curiosity pulls you to its shimmering shore. The surface of the lake is smooth as glass, perfectly reflecting the sky above. Clouds drift lazily mirrored in the water's depths. But as you peer closer, the reflection shifts just slightly. The stars hidden in the blue sky twinkle faintly, even though the sun is high. You kneel, fingers brushing the cool water. A ripple spreads, distorting your reflection. Suddenly, the image changes. Instead of your usual face, you see yourself wearing a cloak of silver feathers, standing beneath a moonlit sky. Around you, shadowy figures gather, watching silently. You blink. The vision fades. Heart pounding, you sit back on the grassy bank. Near the lake's edge, an old wooden bench waits. You sit watching the water and feeling the quiet magic that lingers here. A voice speaks softly from behind. Not all who look into Mirror Lake see their true reflection, says a woman cloaked in emerald robes. Her eyes sparkle with wisdom and kindness. She sits beside you. The lake reveals what the heart seeks and sometimes what it fears. You ask her what you are meant to see. She smiles. That is for you to discover. But know this, the lake's secret is bound to the silver feather you carry. You reach into your pocket and hold the feather up to the sunlight. It glimmers, catching rays like a prism. The woman nods. Follow where it leads, and you will find the truth hidden beneath the surface. Suddenly, the feather lifts gently from your hand, hovering above the water. It drifts slowly across the lake, tracing a glowing path. Without hesitation, you stand and step onto the water, or rather the thin, glimmering surface that feels solid beneath your feet. The lake carries you forward, guiding you to a small island at its center. There, a circle of stones surrounds an ancient tree, its roots dipping into the clear water. You approach the tree and find a carved inscription on its bark. To see beyond you must look within. You close your eyes and place your hand on the tree. Images flood your mind. Memories of laughter and loss, moments of courage and doubt. You see yourself standing at crossroads, choosing paths that ripple outward like waves. Opening your eyes, you understand the secret of the mirror lake is not just in the water, but in your own journey. The silver feather glows warmly in your hand. You carry it back to shore, feeling lighter, clearer, more certain. As you walk back to the castle, the sun dips low, painting the sky in soft pinks and golds. You know the lake's reflection will stay with you, a reminder that sometimes the deepest magic is the one within. The castle is hushed. Midnight wraps its silver arms around Hogwarts like a lullaby. And while most students sleep beneath enchanted quilts and murmuring ceilings, you rise quietly from your bed. The air is cool on your skin as you tiptoe past your roommates, careful not to wake the fox on your bedpost. It's carved from wood, yes, but sometimes it watches too closely. You slip the silver feather into your pocket. It feels warm tonight, as if it knows where you're going, the library. But not just any part. You're returning to the place behind the place where the shelves stretch higher than the moon, and the books don't merely speak, they remember. You leave the dormitory and take a hidden passage revealed to you days ago by a portrait of a girl who speaks in riddles. The route twists and turns through a narrow stone chute behind a tapestry of a screaming kettle, and finally to a forgotten wooden door with no handle. You knock once, then twice, then wait. The wood shivers and slowly creaks open. The midnight library breathes you in. Inside, it's dimly lit with floating candles that give off no flame, only a soft silver glow. The air smells of vellum ink, time, and dreams. Books hover in mid-air, slowly rotating, waiting for the right hands. Tonight, the library is alive in a different way. Whispers curl around the ceiling like threads of fog. Some voices are sharp, some gentle, and some sound like echoes of your own thoughts. You step inside. The floor beneath your feet doesn't creak, it hums. The shelves aren't still. They lean ever so slightly, just enough to make you feel they're listening. You reach a central chamber where the shelves widen into a circle and rise higher than your eye can see. This is where the whispering tomes live. You've been here before, once, but tonight, something's changed. A book hovers down to greet you. Its spine is wrapped in velvet. No title, no author, just a silver clasp and a quiet pulse of light beneath its cover. You reach for it. The clasp clicks open. Inside, no pages, just parchment that moves like smoke, constantly shifting, reshaping itself with every thought you have. As you stare into the mist, a word forms. Listen. So you do. You close your eyes, hands resting on the book, and breathe deeply. The whispers surround you layered, rich, full of longing. Some speak in languages you don't know. Some murmur half-formed spells. Others share stories of dragons tamed by songs of students who vanished into mirrors of headmasters who walked through dreams as if they were doors. And then one voice finds you, clear, close, like it's sitting beside you. A woman's voice, low and gentle. You've been walking paths no one sees, opening doors others fear. The castle knows. The library remembers. You whisper, "Who are you?" There is silence for a moment. Then, once I was like you. A seeker, a listener. I left behind pieces of myself in ink and breath for someone who would one day understand. That someone is you. Your chest tightens. You feel something inside you shift like a string pulled taut for years, finally softening. Why me, you ask aloud. The pages swirl again. Because you ask. Because you wonder. Because you listen. Suddenly, the book glows. Light pours upward, stretching into the air and forming shapes. Memories perhaps of students studying under candlelight, of secret duels at dawn, of figures vanishing into the shelves and never returning. You feel dizzy, and then the light focuses, narrowing into a single word that burns itself onto the air. Name. You whisper your own, and the book seals shut. The whispers vanish. Silence fills the space like breath drawn in and held. Then the shelves shudder gently, and a single drawer at the base of the far wall slides open. Inside a map, not of Hogwarts as you know it, but of its beneath. Tunnels, chambers, forgotten corridors, and one location marked with a small, feather-shaped symbol, the room beneath the veil of stars. You fold the map and tuck it into your pocket with the feather. As you leave the midnight library, the floating candles dim behind you, and the door slowly seals shut. It seems vanishing into the stone. Back in your dormitory, the fox on your bedpost is facing you. Its wooden eyes glow faintly blue. You slide the map under your pillow, lie back and exhale. You do not sleep immediately. You lie there with your eyes open, staring into the dark, feeling the castle thinking around you. Somewhere beneath the great hall lies a room no one speaks of, and it's waiting. You wait until the castle sleeps. Not just the students, or the portraits, or even the lanterns, but the castle itself. You can feel it when it happens. The stone stops shifting. The staircases stay where they are. The very walls sigh softly, as if the castle exhales after a long, enchanted day. And in that silence, you move. Tonight you follow the map you found in the midnight library, the one with the feather-shaped symbol marked deep beneath the great hall. The silver feather in your pocket is warm, like it remembers the route better than your feet do. You trace the inked paths through narrow service corridors, down stairwells, wrapped in ivy. No sunlight has ever touched past a broom closet that smells faintly of cinnamon and lightning. Every turn feels like walking deeper into a secret. Every step is slower, quieter, more real. Eventually you reach a door, but it isn't a door in the way most doors are. It's a wall, plain stone, but on its surface, the faint outline of a keyhole glows where no keyhole should be. It pulses once when you hold the feather near it and opens without a sound. The air beyond is different, not damp like the dungeons or musty like the library. It smells like starlight, like midnight wind, like snow falling on old secrets. You step inside. The room is vast, round, boundless. The ceiling arches high above, lost in velvet dark and scattered across its stars. But they're not painted, not illusions. They move, they breathe. They shimmer like real stars in a sky that somehow lives beneath the earth. A hush falls over you, instinctual, reverent. The floor is smooth stone, inlaid with a spiral pattern that glows faintly when you walk across it. You follow its gentle curve inward toward the center of the room. There, on a raised dais of onyx and moonstone, stands a pedestal. On it, a shallow basin filled with silver liquid. You know, without knowing, this is the veil of stars. You step closer, and something in your chest begins to ache, not painfully, but deeply, like a memory brushing the edges of your ribs. You reach toward the surface. Your fingers don't touch it. The silver ripples upward to meet you. Images unfold, not in pictures, but in feelings. You see yourself standing at the gates of Hogwarts for the very first time, heart full of hope and wonder. You see yourself laughing at dinner, crying in secret, failing, succeeding, doubting, trying again. You see every version of yourself that ever walked these halls and every version that might have. And then you see a room full of stars. This room, but different, older. You see students long before you, placing hands into the basin and whispering words into the dark. One figure turns. You recognize them. It's you, but not you now. You older, wiser, wearing robes threaded with silver, holding a wand etched with runes you don't yet understand. And your future self says nothing, just watches. Smiling, the vision fades. The basin goes still. The stars overhead glow a little brighter. You take a step back, breath trembling. You're not afraid. You're awake. The silver feather hums in your pocket, then floats gently upward out of your coat and rests itself on the rim of the basin. It glows, once bright, soft, alive, and dissolves, gone, but not lost. It has become part of the room, part of you. As you turn to leave, the walls of the room seem to whisper your name, not as a warning, as a memory. You exit through the same stone wall which seals silently behind you. You retrace your steps slowly, the castle still asleep around you, but somehow watching, not with suspicion, with pride. Back in your dormitory, the stars are fading from the carved ceiling overhead. Dawn is close. You slide into bed and pull the blanket up to your chin. The fox on your bedpost is turned toward the window. Its wooden tail glows softly with silver, and just before sleep pulls you under, you hear a sound. Not in the room, not quite in the world, but somewhere inside you. A voice like your own spoken through time. You are not only becoming a witch or a wizard, you are becoming a keeper of magic. And some magic is older than the stars. The sky is silver with morning when you wake, but something feels different. Your wand lies on your bedside table, humming softly, not with magic exactly, but with intent, as if it knows, as if it's waiting. And the fox on your bedpost, no longer carved entirely of wood. Its eyes are made of living fire, now golden and flickering, and it watches you with quiet approval. You rise and dress in silence. The castle is wide awake by now, students bustling through corridors, voices echoing of stone professors sweeping by with armfuls of books and assignments and deadlines, but none of it touches you. Today, something else calls. At breakfast, your porridge tastes faintly of mint and lightning. At class, your hands buzz every time they brush your wand. And by the time the last bell rings, you already know the trials are waiting. You don't know how you know, but you do. Not every student is summoned. The invitation comes differently to everyone. A shadow that lingers too long. A portrait that winks and vanishes. A note folded into your textbook that disappears the moment you read it. For you, it comes as a voice low and clear, whispered from nowhere and everywhere at once. The tower waits. Bring your wand. Bring your will. So you go, through halls that seem suddenly unfamiliar, up staircases you've never climbed before, past doors that open at the sound of your footsteps and close before anyone else can follow. At the top of the highest tower stands an archway. There's no door, only wind. Beyond it, a chamber, circular, vast, empty, except for a single ring of runes etched into the floor, and above it, floating mid-air, a slender thread of silver light. You step into the circle. The moment you do, the air sharpens, the world shifts, and the trials begin. The first comes quietly. A mirror rises from the floor. Simple, tall, freestanding. You step toward it and see yourself exactly as you are. But then your reflection changes. You see yourself failing, dropping your wand, turning away, running. Your own voice echoes. I'm not ready. I'm not strong enough. I don't belong here. Your chest tightens. Those are your fears, ones you've never spoken aloud. Not even to yourself. You don't look away. Instead, you whisper, I'm afraid, but I'm still here. The reflection bows its head and vanishes. The first trial ends. The second comes with fire. A ring of flames erupts around the runes. Heat blazes upward, wild and untamed. From within the fire, a shape forms a creature made entirely of shadow and smoke. It lunges at you, not to harm, but to overwhelm. You raise your wand, not with the spell you've practiced, but with instinct, with will. Your voice is steady, lumos maxima. The light bursts forth brighter than fire, purer than fear. The creature shrieks, collapses, and dissolves. The flames vanish. The second trial ends. The third is silence, total perfect silence. The room vanishes. The world vanishes. You float in nothingness. No floor, no sky, no direction, no sound. Just you, alone, completely. You open your mouth to speak, but there is no voice. You try to move, but your body no longer follows. You are nothing but thought, and the thought presses in. What am I? Without magic, without wands or spells or feathers or stars, who am I? If I am only me, you don't panic. You listen. And in the silence, the answer finds you, still worthy. Your breath returns. The world returns. And you're standing once more in the tower hall and steady your wand, glowing softly in your hand. The third trial ends. A final thread of silver light descends from above and wraps gently around your wrist like a ribbon of recognition. From the center of the room, a shape rises, a box, wooden, etched with runes that shimmer like morning dew. It opens on its own, inside a wand. It's not yours, but it's familiar. Curved wood, smooth and warm with a core of light. A memory stirs. You've seen this wand before. In your dream, in the mirror lake, in the vision from the room beneath the veil of stars. It is your wand. But it's what your wand is becoming. You place your own beside it. They hum together, fuse, and become one. A wand, not just shaped by oak, or unicorn hair, or phoenix feather, but shaped by you. Your choices, your trials, your voice. When you step back into the castle, the sky is deep blue and full of stars. The trials are over, but the becoming never ends. You are still changing, still growing, still listening, and somewhere deep inside the wood of your wand, a silver thread glows, a reminder that the most powerful magic of all is knowing who you are. The castle feels different now, not because anything has changed on the surface. Your professors still give you too much homework. The portraits still squabble in the hallway outside the library. And Peeves still drops ink-filled balloons at breakfast. But you have changed. The walls no longer loom. They lean in gently, as if listening. The staircases no longer shift randomly. They seem to guide you. And the shadows you used to ignore now shimmer faintly like memories waiting to be seen. The trials are behind you. The stars, the mirror, the forest, the whispers, all those strange nights and secret moments have begun to settle in your bones like a second heartbeat. But the castle has one more secret to give. It arrives in the softest of ways. Not a note, not a summons, not a sign carved into stone or burned into parchment. Just a dream of a locked door you've never seen. Round, small, covered in ivy, and glowing ever so faintly with light from within. You wake with the feeling that the dream was real, and somehow you know exactly where to go. You dress quietly and slip out into the earliest blue of morning. Fog clings to the floor like forgotten thoughts, and the halls are so silent you wonder if time itself has paused to watch. You walk without hesitation, down past the kitchens, past the tapestry of the sleeping dragon, past a door that never opens until today. The moment you touch it, the stone shimmers. It swings inward slow and soundless, revealing a spiral stairwell bathed in soft golden glow. You descend. 1 step, 2, 7, 13, 32, until you reach a chamber. It's small, circular, unadorned, but the air here is thick with magic, not the kind you cast, but the kind you inherit. the kind that's older than language. In the center of the room stands a plinth of white marble. Upon it, a small object. It's not grand, not powerful looking, just a locket, simple and silver, shaped like a teardrop, engraved with tiny symbols that shimmer only when the light catches them. You reach out, and the moment your fingers brush the locket, the chamber changes. Not around you, within you. Memories flood your mind, but not yours. You see the castle being built by wand, and will stone by stone, spell by spell. You see the founders, Rowena's wisdom, Helga's kindness, Salazar's ambition, Godric's courage, all meeting beneath this very room, not to plan lessons, but to place this locket here. A vow, a seed of memory, a magic that would lie dormant until someone proved worthy not of power, but of understanding. You see students across centuries, dreamers, listeners, secret keepers, not heroes with shining armor, but quiet souls who followed curiosity into mystery. You see them find the locket and place it back each time. But this time, it does not close in your hand. It opens. Inside, not a picture, not a note, just a single phrase engraved in impossibly fine lettering. You are not the end of a story. You are the doorway to 1,000 more. You stand in silence for a long moment. The locket is warm. When you lift your eyes, the chamber glows softly, and the ivy on the walls blooms into silver blossoms, each one pulsing gently like the beat of a heart. The castle is alive, and it knows you. It has seen your questions, your doubts, your wonder, your will. It has offered its last secret not as a test, but as a gift. Because magic, real magic, the kind that endures, isn't only about power or legacy or even knowledge. It's about connection. And now you are part of the castle. Its breath, its memory, its hope. You close the locket, and for the first time, it stays closed for you. Because it has given you what it needed to give. You walk back up the stairs slower now, like someone returning from a dream. When you emerge into the quiet corridors, the sun has begun to rise, and the first light of morning spills across the floor like a blessing. Students begin to stir in the halls. The portraits yawn and stretch. Peeves hasn't started causing trouble yet. And you are no longer just a student. You are a listener of whispers, a friend of ghosts, a seeker of silver feathers and dreaming libraries. You are part of the story now, not a page, not a chapter, but a whole unwritten book full of stars and shadows and spells that only work when whispered at midnight. And as you return to your dormitory, a small fox of polished wood waits patiently on your bedpost, its eyes glowing softly. It bows its head to you, and for the first time, it speaks. Welcome home.